To my left here is a young lady. She's really my wife. And we've been married low these 69. I thought it was only about 30 or 40 years.
Yeah.
Time goes so quickly, you know.
Yeah.
Segregation in the South was rigid, but there was segregation in the North, and where you had to know where to stop and where not to stop. There are many tales that we could tell about incidences that happened along those ways.
So,
Glenda Pittman was originally born in New York State. I moved to Florida when I was 13 years old. My father was in the military. He was stationed in Jacksonville. So we moved from a very small town in New York State to a big city, Jacksonville, Florida.
Well, I spent my early years in Charlotte, North Carolina, and it was there was absolutely no integration. It was completely separate, everything was separate. And it made it pretty nice for us because my father was teaching at Johnson C.
School, a teacher asked me a question and I answered her, yes. And she said, yes what? And I said, yes. And she said, yes what? And by this time, she's right up in my face. I know none of these people. It's my first day in the school. And she gets right down in my face at my desk and said, you say yes ma'am to me. And I said, yes ma'am.
Adam Street that you just
one of my first
probably
lessons.
came down was clay when I came. When I went up to the old Capitol building to look around just to sightsee a little bit, there was this fountain. One side of the fountain was marked white, the other side was marked colored, which meant that you had to drink out of the colored side.
Fountains, black drinking fountains publicly. There were white restrooms, there were black restrooms. Everything was very, very segregated.
people who were close to you during when the civil rights movement was happening that had any crimes targeted against them because of their race?
C.K. Steele.
Yeah, C.K. Steele. We were very close to his family. In fact, his wife worked for us, and we delivered his kids, who are no longer kids now, they're 60-year-old adults. But their house was bombed and gunshots through the windows and things like that. And C.K. was just a little guy, but he was a very, very brave guy, and their family took a lot. It was like that.
So when you moved to Jacksonville, you stayed there now, well, in Florida at least.
Yeah.
But so when you had your kids, what was the neighborhood like growing up?
When they first enrolled in school, when they were very, very young in elementary school, it was still segregated. But it was during this time they began to desegregate the schools. And it was a very, very stressful time as a parent of young children, because when they started the desegregation, the neighborhoods were all segregated. So they would take children from white schools and black schools, and these kids would spend 50 to 100 miles a day on a school bus, which isn't good to do to children, not fair to them or anything like that. And a lot of people that had the financial means to do it took their children out of the public school system and put them in the private school systems.
What was kind of like the reaction in your neighborhood, with your neighbors personally to
I don't
segregation?
remember anything being proactive in our neighborhood about the school being desegregated. I truly don't. I had 3 young children. I took care of other people's children at that time. I was extremely busy, and I didn't have time for nonsense like that. I would not have gotten involved with it.
Do you remember any race-instigated crimes that happened in the town during that time? Like things that
Oh,
happened
there
to
was
people
stuff
because of
all
their race?
there was stuff all the time, and it's just too. It became, unfortunately, you became desensitized to it because there was stuff all the time that went on. One of the things that I talked about, there was when we first moved to Florida and we bought a house and we moved into a neighborhood that was borderline segregated. There was an expressway that separated us. So one side of the expressway was predominantly white, the other side of the expressway was predominantly black. And we lived 2 doors down from a elementary school. That school was segregated. It was an all-white school. There was also a park that was behind our house. That park had an above-ground swimming pool that was utilized by the neighborhood. There were a lot of kids in that neighborhood. When desegregation came into effect and they had to integrate that pool, they shut the pool down. Rather than allow black children to come and use the pool, they just closed it up.
So I know you said that because the town was so small, there weren't really any protests that happened over there. Can you remember any?
You know, I won't say it's because Jacksonville's a fairly big town, and especially geographically. In the specific area of the town that we lived in, we didn't experience anything like that.
Yeah. And do you think that was more just because of the size of the neighborhood, or maybe because of like beliefs people had?
I think it was probably more the size of the neighborhood, and I think that it was a predominantly white neighborhood, and at that time we were all young, struggling parents, just trying to get through the day and do what we had to do to raise our children, really on our radar. And it was not something I was concerned about whether my children went to school with black, pink, or brown people. My goal was that my girls get an education.
So can you remember where you were when the assassination?
I don't remember specifically where I was. I do remember that it was right on the heels of not long after Kennedy was assassinated, but when his brother was assassinated, it was like bang, 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 and you just wondered what was going to happen to next. And Martin Luther King was a man of peace, and he emphasized that in everything he did and he said, and it was extremely sad.